Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Candice, and if this is your first time watching one of my videos, I am a brand new eBay reseller. I opened up my business a little more than 2 months ago, and in this video, I'm going to be recapping specifically the profits from my second month. So my second month selling on eBay is not going to be like a full calendar month. Here are the dates that I'll be covering here. And that's closer to probably like that 3.5 week mark. I had hit the stop button right after I had sold my 25th item, and I featured all 25 of those items that I sold in that like second month, 3.5 week mark in this video here, what sold my second month on eBay. And the reason why I stopped at that 25th item, it was a nice round number to be able to feature those items in that second month, and a nice round number for me to be able to kind of like just calibrate my business personally. I was like, okay, this is a good stopping point right here in the month that I can kind of like see what I've spent so far and see what I've sold so far, and just kind of like take a pulse check on how my business is doing. So just to recap a little bit, if you haven't seen my very first video of true profits from my first month, you can check it out as well there. And this is the full transparency channel. I want you to get a full inside scoop on what it looks like for someone who's inexperienced to kind of launch their eBay business. I think there are 3 categories of sellers. There's probably more, and correct me if I'm wrong, but these are just my thoughts and opinions. There is the full-time eBay reseller. These are the sellers that get up in the morning every day, and this is what they do for a living. And they go out and they source regularly, and they have full-on systems in place, big storage units probably, etc. And they make a full-time income off of it, and that's super awesome. Then there are the part-time resellers who do this kind of where they can, and they fit it in throughout their other life. Maybe they have a full-time job. And in my case, I fall under this category as a part-time reseller. I am a full-time mom. I have 4 small children that I stay home with full time, ages 2 to 7, and so my hands are full. And so I would consider myself a part-time reseller, and that's someone who is doing this regularly, but they're not giving it the full 40, plus hours a week, or getting up every single day and working on this all day long. So that's where I fall under, is like the part-time seller. And then I think there's like the third category, which I consider like the passive eBay reseller. People who just kind of throw stuff up online when they want to get rid of something, or they have something valuable they want to resell, and they just kind of do it here and there. It's not consistent, and if it sells, it sells. If not, no big deal. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know what kind of a seller you are, but hopefully this information is helpful to you. And if you're looking to start your business, or you have a business of your own and you want to kind of compare, because sometimes it feels lonely. You're like, okay, well, how am I doing in retrospect to others that are out there? So hopefully this information is helpful to you. I have made many mistakes along the way, and I know I will continue to make more mistakes. I'm so grateful when you all comment and give me advice. It's really helped me out along the way. So let me go ahead and start laying out kind of my overall business performance of the last month. So a few notable things that happened in my second month. I took a vacation. I spoke about this in that what sold video my second month, how I didn't list anything for like 7 or 8 days, and I took off and didn't really worry about my eBay business. And what was really cool is I still sold stuff while I was on vacation, which was awesome. When you go into your profile settings, there is an option where you can choose to put that your time away. And it lets you select like the dates that you'll be out of town and when you will return. What's cool about that is that when someone goes into your item to purchase an item, it will let them know, like there's like a banner at the top that says like this seller is currently away. And even though I wasn't going to like ship items out until like the following week, people still purchased items from me. I came home and I was able to package up like 9 or 10 items. It was awesome. Such a cool feeling, and all my hard work leading up to me going on vacation. It was really fun being up in the mountains and like making sales. So that happened, but that did give me a pause in my business. So like I didn't work on my business while I was on vacation. And then I also had like a snafu with my account being locked out for updating some personal information. And basically, I think my account or like my whole shop was pretty much hidden. And that lasted, I believe, for like 3 to 4 days. So that was a little bit of a snafu that I dealt with in this last month as well. With all that being said, I still sold 25 items, which I feel like is a huge, huge win. And I ended the month with around 200-ish items listed, like still listed in my store, like in my inventory. So just to kind of give you like a good understanding of like, this is how much I sold, yes, which I'm super excited and happy about being a new seller. But I also, had a lot of items that didn't sell that are still listed. And I'm not sure what others use as their measure of performance with their own personal sell-through rate, like what amount of time versus how many items that you have listed versus sold. If you're watching this and you have something you measure your own performance by, please share it in the comments below. It helps us out so we can know kind of how to gauge our success. So a couple of things that, to think about and that I'm thinking about at this point. And my husband has given me great advice. He's like, yes, you can think about sell-through rate on each individual item, which is definitely a really big deal. But at the same time, you have your own numbers game you have to play too. So the more you list, the better you have a chance of selling something. So if you're a person that's only going to list 10 things a month, then you're going to probably have a hard time selling, very many things in 1 month's time. So even if they have a great sell-through rate, it still just doesn't, you give yourself a better chance the more items you list. I think that's basic understanding of math that everyone would probably agree with. So anyways, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Okay, just stay consistent, still list. There are some items in my store that I may never sell, but they are teaching me things along the way, just kind of how consumers are reacting to the products that I list. And so it's interesting. And I would love to hear other people's experiences on this one. I have noticed consistently that when I go to list my items, I notice that if it's a somewhat popular item to a very popular item. So if it's kind of popular and up, I've noticed that within the first probably 24 to 48 hours of it being listed, I'll get a handful of views on it and maybe a handful of saves or likes, hearts on it. And then I don't see any kind of action on it for like a week or two sometimes. It's interesting. So I don't know if that is if that's a thing with all new listings where like, okay, so like you list your item and then of course there's like no views on it because eBay is like doing its AI generated checking of your item, making sure it's passes their test, I'm guessing. And then secondly, I'm thinking you kind of get this like initial boost for visibility, whether you pay for a promoted listing or not. And let me talk to you about promoted listing real quick. So in the first little chunk of the month, including like the end of my first month, I was using the promoted listing feature in many of my listings because I just wanted to gain more traction, get more visibility on my store, and I wanted things to sell quicker. So I stopped doing it about halfway through my second month. And the reason being is I realized that it's expensive. It doesn't always have to be expensive, which I'm learning. They have a suggested ad rate that you can choose. And I was just doing the suggested ad rate every single time. And they always kind of like get you at the top there. They're like, oh, like 56% of other listings in this category are also promoted. Like you need to be one of the 56% because if not, then like you're not going to be seen. And so, I kind of, I don't know, I just dipped my toe into that one and I did make a lot of sales off of it. And I will talk about some of those ad fees that I paid for. But I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, like these are becoming pretty expensive. And on some of my less expensive items, I sold an item for like $12 and I paid the eBay cut, but then I also paid the promoted listing on top of it. And then I had to pay, initially what I paid for that item. I'm like, I made nothing on this $12 item that I sold. So, yeah, there have been some items that I sold like that in that 25 item, on the 25 items that I've sold this last month. So I stopped and I freaked out a little bit because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be like promoting all these listings and then I'm going to be making no money. So I stopped doing the promoted listing thing and I just am kind of waiting it out. And I'm still in the waiting it out phase of, okay, as soon as I list an item, I'm not going to hit promote my item right off the bat because I noticed even when I don't hit promote my item right off the bat, my items still will get some visibility in that first 24 to 48 hours. And I have made a handful of sales off of just having that visibility right off the bat. And what I am doing instead is potentially, depending on, the traction I see, or the profit margin I'm still trying to shoot for, I'll send an offer instead. And I learned, someone had made a comment, thank you to whoever that was, that I needed to not do automated offers. I needed to just send like individual offers. So uncheck that box of the automated offers to really specific one-off interested people who are interested in my item. So I'm not sure if that's the successful approach. If you have a system that you go by, what I'm thinking that my system I'm going to go by is this. What I'm thinking is this. I'm not going to do promoted listing right off the gate. I'm just going to kind of wait it out to see if it sells on its own pretty little situation. And then if I'm struggling, maybe 30 days of it being listed or maybe 60 days at 90 days, what point do you decide, okay, we need to get some traction on this item? So I'm still working through all that. I don't know, but these are the thoughts going through my brain. If you have experience on this or you have a system in place, please comment below. It helps us all out so much to see and hear what other people are saying on that. So more to come on how I decide to approach promoted listings in the future. Let's talk about all the shopping I did. So I shopped. I did a video, vacation thrifting. If you have not seen it, go check it out. It was so much fun out in the Smoky Mountains. I got to go thrifting and I did spend money there. And I also, when I came back, I did a bins haul and I hit up some estate sales. So amongst all of my shopping that I did for the dates I listed before, so for my second month, I spent a total of $214.98. That number is far more improved than my first month, but I feel like my first month, I wasn't finding stuff as inexpensive as I've learned to do so now. So I'm hoping that this number continues to go down. My goal is in each month that how much I spend when I'm out thrifting, I'm more selective and I'm finding items for less, that each month this number kind of goes down and it'll probably sit at a lower point and kind of stay there, but still trying to move the trajectory down on that. So that's what I spent just on the items. Then I have my cost of doing business. So we have been really good and I'm so grateful to my mom who has saved all of her boxes and we've saved all of our boxes. And so I've not had to spend a dime on boxes and she saved me some like bubble wrap too to reuse. I did go and buy some, they're Polymailers and I did buy some directly from eBay, which was cool. It kind of had the eBay logo on it. There were smaller ones and then I got some larger ones from Amazon. I will link both of those down below because I love the idea of like being an eBay reseller and using the packaging that has like an eBay name on it. But they're a little bit more expensive, but you kind of look more professional that way. So I liked that idea, but then I found a really great deal on Amazon for some like really giant ones. I have been picking up a lot of like coats and jackets and larger clothing items. And so those large poly mailers have been awesome to ship with. And that you can like kind of squeeze all the air out of it and get it nice packed in there tight. So it ends up being smaller footprint as well. So I've enjoyed those, I bought those 2 sizes. That was a cost on that month. And then the cost of my postal scale I am including in this month, and I bought it kind of towards the beginning. I talk about it in my must-have items, my 6 must-have items, which you got to check out that video of like for people who are new to reselling. And I also purchased some additional packing tape. And then my last item that is most likely not, or I wouldn't say it's not most likely going to be something you spend your money on. You might need to, because you might be in a situation like myself. I ended up making a large financial investment into some soft box lighting, and that alone was $77.37. I will link it below, the one that I purchased on Amazon. It was a necessary item for me. If you are able to take pictures and use natural lighting in your home and get it pictured at the exact angle at the right time of day when the sun looks great and you can get yourself an excellent photo, you will never need to buy any kind of box lighting. These were not my luxuries, as I found while I was in the midst of running my business. I was having a really good routine when I first started out, where I was like taking all my photos during nap time. I the older kids were quietly playing, and then the little one was down for her nap, and the sun was just right. And I was like, I had this little space on my little counter area, and you can see it even in some of my listings where I'm using natural lighting. And that was great until it just didn't work out that way, or like the weather was bad and we didn't have natural lighting outside the window. So I ran into a lot of like, oh shoot, I can't even find a good angle to do this. And the reason why I say that is like the flash on my phone, it just didn't articulate the correct shadow or color, or it just didn't really work out to try and use like flash or other kind of lighting. I noticed even when I like put on my bedroom lights and stuff, I'd like do it and I'm like, oh, this looks orange when it's really like yellow, or it just didn't work out. So for me, I felt like this was a really great investment. I know there are a lot of other eBay resellers who have softbox lighting, and you can tell in the listings when they have professional lighting because their listings stand out. And so definitely worth the investment, because I do think that the second I got the softbox lighting, I noticed the listings that are pictured that way are clicked on more. So I don't know if that's real data for the masses, but that's what I kind of noticed as an uptick in my personal store. So if that helps you kind of maybe consider them, or if you think to yourself that like, hey, you do need some, you are struggling with getting like the natural lighting for some of your photos, that might be something to consider. So that did hit my profit and loss statement, my P&L this month, in my cost of doing business here, my operating expenses. So to give you the grand total on what I spent, I just talked about the packaging materials. So I only had to pay for 1 roll of tape, some Polymailers, and I got big old jumbo packs, so they're going to last me for a while. And my postal scale and my softbox lighting, I did end up spending $154.21. This is not what I hope to or plan to spend on packaging or operating kind of cost of business in the future. I'm hoping that I can, make some of this stuff stretch. The scale and the lights, those were really kind of one-offs where I'm not going to have to repurchase those. So that was an investment I made. I'm serious about getting good at this business, and I feel like those are a really good investment. So I'm okay with it. but it did eat into my profits this month. Let's keep going. So really quick, before I give you like my grand total breakdown, which I'm sure you could do the math on it already, but I do want to talk about really quick here on this side is what, just like if I were to take those 25 items that sold, and I did some quick math on what I spent on just those 25 items alone. I spent $122 on just those 25 items alone, and I sold them, for $821.63, which means I took home a profit of just those items of $699.63, which is, I think, awesome. 17% into that. Just on those items. So I'm getting better at improving that profit margin, paying less for items, and selling them for higher in general. Some of those items, and you'll see it in my what sold video, yeah, they sold for like $5 or $6, $10. I had a lot of like $10-ish sales. But these were items I paid less than $1 on at like estate sales or at the bins. And so the profit margin was still there. It was all in the quantity or like in the numbers for me this last month. So anyways, let me give you that grand total right now on my true profit take home was. And so my top line sales were $821.63. From that, eBay got their cut of $124.20. And then when I did have some of those promoted listings in the beginning of the month, I had to pay the advertisement fees from those sales, which was a total of $34.19, which brings me to $663.24. But we have the cost of goods. Cost of goods killed me this month. $369.19. That was between all of my shopping trips and the packing materials, the softbox lighting, the postal scale, all of it. So between just the postal scale and the softbox lighting, that was a $100 investment right there. So I do think that was a great investment though for the future, and the packing material I bought is going to last me for a long time as well. I am planning to reduce that cost of goods number so much, in the next coming months. And so that's kind of really my goal, is kind of looking more to the future on that one. And that brings me to a grand total of the true profit breakdown of my second month. $294.05. That's better than the first month. I am looking to take that number and go way higher with it in the capacity that I have. But all in all, I'm super happy and incredibly pleased with that. And I continue to share my journey along the way. And I cannot wait to share more of my shopping trips with you so that you can kind of see what I'm able to find out there and for what price I'm able to find it for and what it ends up selling for. My hope is all the things I buy, I sell. I do know that that's not going to be the case, which is going to be what I talk about in my third month recap. So I think that's going to be like the real anchor point, the 90-day total. We see it all when we open up our eBay app. It's like, what's your 90-day running total? And I think that's a really good benchmark to go off of. I will be reevaluating what's in my inventory at that 90-day, kind of expiration. Has this item even moved? How can I get it to move? Looking at price reductions and maybe even possibly figuring out a way to sell it another way. I don't know how else I will sell these items. I have considered a handful of things. So I don't know at what point you get to where you're like, I just have too much stuff that hasn't sold. Do you hold a garage sale? Do you go and try and sell it locally? I've also kind of toyed with the idea of opening up a local booth as kind of like that extra piece. So I don't know. Those thoughts are kind of like future state, and I'm trying to think about it because at the end of the day, I don't want to hold on to stuff forever. I don't have that time or luxury. or I mean, I want to be earning money. I want to be earning now. I don't want to sit around and wait for stuff to sell for a few extra bucks, 2 years from now. So I would love to hear kind of how other people handle what hasn't sold in their eBay inventory. So if you have advice on that, I would love to hear what you do with that. But that's kind of what I'll be talking about at my 90-day kind of 3-month recap on what my next steps are to try and kind of keep this business moving along. So if you are interested in continuing to watch my journey and follow along with this, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can be alerted whenever I can put out a video to update you on my happenings with my eBay selling business. And I cannot wait to continue to share more What Sold videos in the future. My hopes and dreams for this channel are to create how-to videos for people like me, because I think that there are a lot of people who are intimidated to start an eBay reselling business. And my goal and hope is to try and make super simplified, helpful videos for a lot of questions that I get asked often. So more to come. I am still formulating and thinking how that looks. But anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I cannot wait to chat with you soon.